Ever thought about a career where you're in high demand and actually making a difference?
Yeah, sounds like a dream.
Yeah, it does. But becoming a respiratory therapy technician might just make it a reality. I mean, you've probably seen the job postings. But what's the real story?
Right. Everyone wants the inside scoop.
Exactly. So we're taking a deep dive into what it really takes to succeed as an RTT.
More than just a surface level glance.
You got it. And joining us, we have our expert who can help us dig into the sources, uncover those insights you won't find on a job board.
Happy to be here. It's one thing to know the job title, but grasping the day-to-day, the highs and lows, the unexpected challenges, the rewards, that's a whole other story.
And speaking of unexpected, RoleCatcher's career guide did not disappoint. I had no idea how crucial RTTs are in emergencies.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not just talking routine checkups here.
Not just that at all. RoleCatcher highlights how RTTs are critical in those high-pressure moments, like they're managing ventilators in the ICU, for instance. Talk about a responsibility, right?
Yeah, that's literally holding lives in the balance.
Exactly.
But then the guide surprised me with how diverse the work settings can be.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many RTTs work outside hospitals.
That's right. The guide talks about clinics, long-term care facilities, even private homes. That home-based care sector is booming,
Yeah.
Means more and more RTTs are needed for that personalized care, right? In patients' homes.
Adds a whole other dimension to the job, right?
Booker.
It's not just about the technical skills anymore. It's building rapport, that trust with patients in a much more personal setting.
Definitely.
But let's be real, no job's perfect. And this guide doesn't shy away from the challenges.
Nope.
It
Never.
addresses the tough stuff head on, which I appreciated.
This career path isn't for everyone, that's for sure. RoleCatcher points out the stress levels are high, the hours can be irregular, and there's a definite emotional toll that comes with working with patients in crisis. It takes a certain kind of resilience to thrive in this role. Empathy, too.
Yeah, you've really got to have the right temperament for it. And I appreciate how this guide lays out both sides. The incredible rewards A&D,
Yeah.
the very real difficulties of being an RTT.
Honesty is key.
Absolutely. It's so important to have that clear picture going in.
Couldn't agree more. And that's where self-awareness comes in. Are you someone who thrives under pressure, got the emotional intelligence to handle those tough patient interactions? Knowing yourself, it's just as important as knowing the job description.
Knowing yourself is key, for sure.
Yeah.
But then there's knowing where you can go, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the career trajectory look like?
Right.
And one thing I loved about RoleCatcher's guide was how it breaks down that career ladder for RTTs. You're not just stuck, there are actual opportunities to level up.
It's true. And what I find fascinating is how the guide maps out this clear path for advancement.
Yeah.
So you might start entry level, but there are concrete steps you can take. To gain more responsibility, specialize in a certain area of respiratory care, really shows that this field values professional growth,
So tell me more about these steps. The guide mentions certifications like CRT,
Yeah, certified respiratory therapist.
right, CRT, and then there's RRT, which is the Registered Respiratory Therapist Credential,
That's the big one.
and then BLS, Basic Life Support, ACLS.
Advanced cardiovascular life support.
It's a lot of acronyms. So what's the deal? What do they all mean for someone just starting out?
Think of those certifications as like your power-ups.
Okay, I like that.
In the world of respiratory therapy, they show employers that you've got the knowledge, the skills to handle those increasingly complex situations.
Makes sense. Proof you can handle the heat.
Exactly. So, for example, earning your RRT, that often opens doors to leadership. Supervising a team of RTTs, maybe even managing a whole department one day.
Oh, wow. So for our listeners who are ambitious, want to climb that ladder, this field has you covered. And speaking of different paths, the guide also touched on specializations within respiratory care, like neonatal or critical care. It's incredible how much variety there is under this one umbrella.
It really is. And those certifications, they often tie directly into specializing. So say you're passionate about working with newborns in a neonatal intensive care unit.
Oh, wow, those little ones.
You'd likely need the neonatal resuscitation program certification, the NRP. It's about finding your niche, within this broader field, and it's always evolving.
That's amazing. So we've got the job itself, the paths you can take, the specializations. But what about the skills? Like, what does it really take to thrive as an RTT? What are we talking about here?
Well, RoleCatcher points out a skill that might surprise some people. Reading comprehension.
Really?
I know, sounds basic, right?
Yeah.
But remember, you're dealing with complex medical info, often under pressure. You got to be able to absorb that info fast, accurately, apply it to your
And
patients.
not just absorb it, but explain it too.
Oh, for sure.
I imagine you're often communicating those complex medical details to patients, their families, who are probably anxious, overwhelmed.
All the time. So it's not enough to just be good with the technical stuff. You got to be a clear communicator, compassionate too. And here's another interesting thing from the guide. Customer and personal service. Super important.
That one surprised me. I wouldn't have connected customer service with being an RTT, at least not right away.
It makes sense, though, when you think about it. You're interacting with people during tough times, stressful, uncertain.
Yeah, for sure.
They need reassurance, empathy, someone who can explain things clearly and calmly, even in a hectic ER.
Wow, it's incredible how much the human element plays into a role that from the outside might seem purely technical.
You got it. Being able to connect with people, build that trust, that rapport, it's huge in healthcare, something RoleCatcher really emphasizes.
Speaking of technology, there's another aspect of RoleCatcher's approach that feels super cutting edge. They've incorporated artificial intelligence into their job searching tools, and I gotta say, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. So we talked about the skills, the career paths, that surprising human element, but RoleCatcher doesn't just leave you hanging when it comes to actually landing the job.
Right, they help you seal the deal.
Exactly. They've got this whole section on using AI to boost your job search, and honestly, it's amazing.
It really is something else how tech is changing the game for job seekers these days.
It's why.
One of the tools they highlight is this AI-powered CV and resume builder.
Okay, so walk me through this. How does AI even help with something as personal as a resume?
Well, picture this. You find that perfect RTT job posting, right?
Okay, yeah.
You're ready to apply. Instead of just using a generic resume, you use this tool.
Okay.
It analyzes the job description, like the specific language, the keywords they use, and then it tailors your resume to match, highlighting the skills and experience that that employer is looking for.
So it's like having a personal resume writer, but they already know what the hiring manager wants.
Exactly.
That's incredible, and it gets even better. They also have AI-powered interview practice.
Yeah, you can actually practice answering questions,
Yeah.
common interview questions, record yourself, and then get AI feedback.
On what, like everything?
Everything, your tone, your body language, even analyzes how well you're actually answering the questions, which I think we've all struggled with, right?
Oh, 100%. That feeling of, ugh, I wish I could have a do-over on that one.
Right. But this tool, it's like having that do-over.
That's huge.
You can practice, refine those responses, walk into the interview feeling so much more prepared, confident.
In a competitive job market, even for a field like this where there's high demand,
Oh, yeah.
having that edge is crucial.
Absolutely.
It sounds like these AI tools are really revolutionizing things. Not just what it means to be an RTT, but how you even get started.
For sure. And speaking of the future of the field, one more thing from the guide I wanted to touch on.
Okay, yeah.
RoleCatcher talks about telemedicine and digital health, how it's transforming respiratory care, which is fascinating to think about.
That is fascinating. What do they see happening for RTTs? I mean, in this whole digital health world.
Right, it's the big question, isn't it?
Totally.
Could mean RTTs working remotely, monitoring patients' data from afar, maybe virtual consultations become a bigger deal.
Interesting.
There's even the potential for, like, entirely new roles, specializations that we haven't even thought of yet.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it, how much this field is changing, how important it's going to be. So for our listeners who are intrigued by this career path, by all the possibilities, RoleCatcher's full guide is an incredible resource,
It really is.
packed with info, details about those AI tools we talked about.
Don't forget those.
Definitely don't. And tons of other resources to help you take that next step.
Couldn't agree more. It's out there. Might as well explore, right?
Exactly. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Hope you've come away with a better understanding of what it takes to succeed as an RTT, from those technical skills to the human touch and everything in between.